Hello once again, YouTube. It has been far too long since I put out a video, but today we are finally going to change that. Today I am going to be showing you how to hack, homebrew, whatever it's called, jailbreak, whatever word you want to use. I don't really care. Your Wii from scratch. So I have a new Wii here that is not modified at all. All that's been done is it's been connected to the internet. So make sure you get that done. And we are going to be taking you through the whole process because many things have changed since the last time I put out a guide, which was like a long time ago, over 2 years ago, I think. So list of equipment that you're going to need. Obviously, you're going to need a computer, preferably a Windows computer, although others work. But the method that we're going to be going through today requires a Windows computer. It can be a virtual machine. You're going to need a SD card reader. You're going to need an SD card. This is just a SanDisk one that usually you can find. They're available at Best Buy pretty easily. And you're going to need a compatible USB flash drive. Now, the we.hacks.guide, which is the guide we're going to be using, it should be the guide that everyone uses, tells you that it's not recommended to use USB flash drives, because they can have issues with working with certain aspects of custom firmware. I will tell you guys straight up that this one that I've been using, and here, let me go to, there's my Wii, but we are going to, we're going to switch over to our browser. There's a GBA temp thread, which I will list in the description, that shows you all of the compatible devices with custom firmware that have been tested. And you can see this one that I'm holding up, this PNY flash drive, has been tested. And I'm not sure why Homebrew is grayed out, but there is no issues. It works with USB Loader GX, which is what we're going to be using today. I'll explain what that means and what that is. Yeah, so go ahead, and if you're worried about, if you don't have a drive and you're worried about which one to get, I mean, you can get this specific one, this 128 gig PNY one, but if you're in another region where this is not available, go ahead and check this link that I have in the description, which is going to show you a list of compatible USB drives. If you don't have one yet, then I probably would follow the directions on the the we.hacks.guide and get a USB external hard drive, which can be powered. You just need to use both ports. You need a special cable that splits the port into data and power. The data port is important to plug into the correct port. The power one, you can simply just plug into the other port, and that one's not going to change anything. But you'll need to use both ports in order to use a USB external hard drive. I would recommend using one of those if you do not already have like a flash drive laying around that is compatible with this list and that you already want to use. If you don't want to spend any more money, I would probably do that. The size I would recommend, it depends on how many games you want. This 128 gig one has it served me very well. It has a lot of space left, and I don't think I need to upgrade it. But again, that is up to you. You can also store, as we'll get into in a later part of the video, you can also store games, GameCube games only, not Wii games, but you can store GameCube games on your SD card. So maybe you want a little bit bigger of that one. I got this 128 gig one just for that reason. But you probably don't need one as big as 128 gigs. But I mean, these are so cheap nowadays that might as well get one with some space to spare. So now that we've got our equipment out of the way, now we can get into the guide part. So the things that we're going to be going over today, obviously we're going to be homebrewing the Wii, and we're going to be using a method that's a lot different than what I've done in the past. Oh, there's my SD card for my Wii. Don't pay attention to anything that's on this. This is from my previous Wii that unfortunately bricked. So just don't worry about it. The files on here are not going to matter. We are going to do a fresh install from a installer that's on the we.hacks.guide. So don't worry about any of that. We'll sort it out when we get there. So the pages I have open right now, so you can see, obviously we have the USB devices compatibility list. We have we.hacks.guide. We'll have ModMe, which is something we'll get into in a little bit later, very shortly. This is the download page for the installer. We have WeLink. This is going to be your I need to get back to the installation guide. Here we go. We have the WeLink, which I will list all of these in the description. We have the WeLink guide for, this is for getting your WeConnect 24 back online and other internet services like that. And this is WeMFi. WeMFi is different from WeLink because WeMFi is specifically for game online services. So, for example, Mario Kart Online and using WeMFi with like other non-WeLink on or non-WeConnect 24 online sources. So, for example, what I'm going to be using it for is I'm going to be using it for Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Adventure Squad. And those games have online features for like, entering codes, connecting with the DS, getting Wonder Mail through the internet. And we'll show you how to patch those games using the WeMFi patcher, which has patchers for ISO, WADs, pretty much everything. But we'll get to that when we get there. And so the first thing we're going to start off with is, before I start, one thing I want to say about video guides is the reason I'm making this is not as a one-stop guide. The thing about homebrewing guides is that whenever you read one of these guides or whenever you enter a Discord server for, homebrew services, what they're going to tell you is that you shouldn't watch video guides. But sometimes people want to watch them for visual aids, audio aids, and they want to see someone go through the process of this procedure. That's why I'm making this video. So yes, this video, by the time you're watching it, if you're watching it far in the future, it may be outdated. And that's why I'm going to provide you with the links to these websites, because the websites are the resource that we're going to be using and following. What I say, what I do is not necessarily relevant. It is relevant to this specific version of the guide, and I'm going to be taking you through this specific version of the guide at this time, which will be relevant for as long as, until a even easier method for hacking the Wii comes along. So if you are following this guide and something diverges, or you are not using the exact method I am, or let's say it's far in the future and it's completely different, then go ahead and check the guide page again, and potentially I could have a new guide, or some other YouTuber could have a new guide for that specific version of that homebrewing guide. So that I want to get that out of the way before any moderate Discord moderators or Reddit people come at me and saying, YouTube videos are inaccurate, YouTube video guides are inaccurate, blah, 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 blah. We know I am making this for the sole purpose of a visual aid, an audio aid, and a demonstration of what the written guide says. So with that out of the way, let's finally begin with hacking our Wii. So we're going to be using the we.hacks.guide, of course, and this is important information. Basically, it tells you what is Homebrew, what are the purposes of Homebrew. For now, I'm going to skip that. If you'd like to read it, you can. This is more key information about bricks, the risk of bricking and downloading custom firmware incorrectly. So that could be something you would like to read. And this is a console compatibility list. I'm not sure what the Korean Wii compatibility issues are all about, but pretty much every single other Wii, besides, again, like it says here, like dev kits, pretty much every single Wii is compatible with some sort of method of installing custom firmware. Today, we're going to be installing custom firmware on Wii and Wii Family Editions. So that is Rev 001 and 101. Those are the most common models. That is the models that usually people are people seek after, and they are the ones that are also compatible with GameCube. Even though all Wii's are technically compatible with GameCube games, um, the Wii and Wii Family Edition, the Wii Family Edition, simply has the ports removed on the top, and the disc compatibility removed. But as far as loading GameCube games off of USB loader or something else like that, you can still do that, and you can do that on a Wii U as well. Um, I'll get into that maybe in a future video if I ever do a guide on Aroma. It is a very it's not a terribly complicated process, but there's a lot of information to get through with Wii U and custom firmware. So that is something I will potentially talk about in the future. But that is basically, you don't need to worry about what version of the Wii you have. We're going to be talking about storage compatibility. I already went over this, so we don't need to talk about that. Network compatibility. Make sure your Wii can connect to Wi-Fi. Make sure you're using a 2 gigahertz band. I think the Wii is only compatible with the 2 gigahertz band of internet, so that should be fine anyways. And here is the Nintendo Homebrew Discord. It's a very useful resource. I have gone in there and asked a few questions myself. Let's get started. So obviously we're going to be using the Wii and Wii Family Edition, like we said before, and we're going to be using the ModMe and Wii brand manual set, or the ModMe and Wii brand setup. We're going to be going through the automatic setup this time. Normally I've done manual setups before and done it all myself, but today we're going to be trying out the automatic setup. We'll see if it's easier. It takes you through an installer window that basically downloads all of the necessary files and gives you a guide actually on the installer as well. So we're going to be using that. It's a cool tool, so we'll go ahead and do that. So you're going to need a Windows PC, and we're going to be using the ModMe Classic. I'd go ahead and do that. If there's information that about what the difference is between them, the ModMe Classic uses command line. Excuse me, sorry. The ModMe Classic uses a command line interface and has all the features available within it. Like we're going to be using this syscheck updater as far as certain things in this Hack Me Solutions wizard. Well, that's also available here. Either way, I would just get the classic version. It's going to have all the features you need as far as an automatic setup using ModMe. And then you can click here if you want a detailed explanation of each tool. I'm not going to be talking about that because I'm just going to be showing you the basics of what you need to set up. Here's the requirements. I've already gone through these. Step 1, you're going to go to the ModMe website here, and you're going to install this, or you're going to download the installer. And now we're going to open up the ModMe installer. Oh, hello. It's opening on my other screen. Let me bring this over here. All right. And now we're going to start clicking through this. I mean, I'm assuming if you're watching this video, hopefully you know how like installer wizards work. But I'm going to actually put this on my I'm just going to put this on my big hard drive because, it's not something that needs the power of an SSD. So let us continue. Yep, and we're going to create those icons. All right, and we're going to launch ModMe after this. Okay, sorry, we're back. Apparently it didn't automatically open after I finished the setup wizard, but now we're here. And now we're going to be agreeing basically to the risk factor. This is just use at your own risk. The software is not for sale, and the other things that you need to agree to use a custom firmware software. So let's go ahead and do that. This version's up to date. Just need a quick update check. So this is the different prompts for what you're going to use inside of the ModMe software. What we're going to be starting with is just the ModMe wizard, because this is going to be that automatic initial setup. So we're going to be hitting W. What console would you like to soft mod? We have a Wii. So we're going to be hitting W. Would you like to reinstall all recommended soft mods to your Wii? We are going to hit yes. Because this is a fresh install, and you see that is like in brackets. Basically, we want a fresh install of pretty much everything. So we're just going to hit yes. What is your current system menu version? To check that, we're going to go and switch. We're going to go ahead and switch over to the Wii right now. So check that. That's pretty easy. This guide is going to be for versions. Where is my thing? There it is. This guide is going to be for versions 4.3. So you're going to want to go into your settings and look at this up here, the version number. If it says 4.3, good. If it doesn't, go into your internet settings, make sure you're connected to the internet, and perform a system update. It'll automatically prompt you when you connect to an internet connection. I believe there is an update thing over here. Yep, Wii system update. So there you go. If it's not on 4.3, go ahead and do that. So you're up to 4.3. So, let me put this down and we'll get back to the ModMe. So we're going to put in 4.3. So I guess you just type that in, 4.3. And this is your region. So, for us, we are USA. So we're going to be typing in U. Select the exploit that you would like to use in your Wii. So because we have an SD card, again, this is one of the requirements that we had for the Wii and Wii Family Edition, we are going to be choosing Wii brand /letterbomb. If you've watched any old guides, or if you remember my old guide, you know that letterbomb was the traditional method for injecting custom firmware. So we are going to be going back to that. So we're going to be hitting W, Wii brand. Select your Wii's MAC address. So what we're going to be doing is, if we go back into our Wii, console information, and there you go. So there's your MAC address. All right, we're back. So I just entered the MAC address. This is the next step that came up. So this is asking if you'd like to download active iOSs. What it's saying, basically what this is basically firmware files inside of the firmware that's installed on your Wii. What I'd say now is you probably want to hit yes, even though the software is telling us that we've likely already have the latest iOSs, so we don't probably need them. I don't know if this Wii has ever had custom firmware on it, and if it has custom iOSs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit select yes, and I am going to select active iOSs because I want to overwrite any of those and do a fresh install of new custom iOSs, because I always want to do that setup because it can be, it's very precise and you need to do it properly. Hold on just a second. Let me just make myself a little bit bigger. There we go. You always want to do that properly, or else, you could have some, not so fun issues when trying to run certain applications that require custom, CIOSs. So I would just recommend that you go ahead and hit yes on this. If it's a new Wii, if it's like a family Wii that you bought new and it's never had custom firmware and you're absolutely sure of that, then you can just hit no, because you're guaranteed to not have any of the CIOSs on there. But if you bought it secondhand, bought it off eBay or something, I just go ahead and do this just to be safe. So select the system menu you would like to upgrade to. So again, we're on 4.3, so we don't have to do any upgrades. So just go ahead and type in 4.3 here again. So this is asking if you'd like to install any certain channels, like the internet. These are all applications that you can no longer download. So basically, this is what, this is basically if you want to just not have to search up the WADs on the internet. So, you know what, I would go, if you don't have them, I would just go ahead and hit yes to all of them. So I'm just going to hit A to all of them. So this is asking if you'd like to install a custom Wii theme, and then there are different effects that you can install with your your custom Wii theme. I am personally not going to do this. I am just going to leave it as the default Wii theme. So I'm going to hit no. Would you like to set up a USB loader? We are going to be using USB loader. We're going to be using USB loader GX. So I'm going to hit yes to this. And there it is. USB loader GX is recommended. So I am going to hit 1. We're gonna get Nintendo later. If any of you saw the note about Nintendo, we are going to set up Nintendo a little later on into the video. It's not that difficult to do it. So this is asking if you would like to save your where you would like to save your USB loader app, games, and cover. Obviously, it's USB loader. We have a USB flash drive or USB external hard drive, so we're going to be using USB. So USB, sorry. All right, are these settings correct? Obviously, you want to look over everything, make sure you have all of your selections correct in the software. So this console's a Wii. Yep, we're modding a Wii/Wii Family Edition. Install or update all recommended soft mods. Yep, we're gonna do that. Current system is 4.3U. Yep. Desired system is 4.3U. Yep. It's the latest one. Don't need to update it. Don't need to change it at all. Wii brand letter bomb. Yep, that's the SD card one. We're going to be using that. This is our MAC address. We're going to be installing all these channels. We're going to be using USB loader GX, and we're going to be saving a USB loader, our settings and configuration files. We're going to be saving them to a USB drive. So I'm just going to get my USB drive ready. There it is. We'll talk about this later. You don't need to worry about it right now, but I will talk about the format and setup of why I have certain folders and certain files the way that they are. But let's go ahead and select, not you. We're going to select Y for yes. I don't think I'm going to save these, but if I need to, I guess, I don't know, do it again, I can. But I'm just going to hit yes. Enter the drive letter or path letter, and our USB loader GX is G. There you go. So just use this. Use the copy address. Don't be like me and not do that, and then go ahead, go into your thing, copy address, and then copy it into the modme. Don't be like me. Don't make a stupid mistake like I did. But even if you do make a stupid mistake like me, your files are going to be in the modme section, and the software even gives you a prompt to open the files. All right, so this page, this is basically telling us that to verify, that our following files are going to be downloaded to those specific drives. So these are all your custom iOSs that are, or not custom, sorry. These are all your default iOSs that are going to be installed, making sure that you have fresh iOSs on your Wii. And we are going to be selecting Y because Y is going to generate a guide and begin downloading all of these for us. So let's hit Y. Let's begin. The file location where you stupidly screwed them up into. So now we can just take our F is going to be our SD files. All right, we're back. We just copied them all into our SD card. We got a few new readmes, but nothing really changed. You don't need to worry about any of the stuff I had in there before. But now your SD card should look something like this. There's probably a few more folders or a few more files and folders that I have in here. If you see anything you don't have, just don't worry about this. Your SD card should just look like that. So don't worry about any of these readmes or any of the, themes or whatever that I have. It should look like how your modme application set it up. So now we're going to go into our USB drive, and we're going to copy. We're gonna have the program files and the program files and the apps. We're just gonna have that on the USB drive. It consolidates everything on the USB drive, so it just makes it easier. So we can go ahead and close that now. and we can follow along with the ModMe guide. So here are chosen options because the guide is generated with what you chose inside of ModMe. Here are some important notes. My goodness. So we're going to get started. Hacking your Wii. So we're gonna pause, and I'm gonna read over this. Actually, we're gonna cut this, and I'm gonna read over what the fuck any of this means because I didn't get here yet. MBR. All right, guys, we are back. So basically, I had to figure out what this guide was saying as far because this is a new step to the guide. This is basically checking if your partition style on your SD card is in the correct partition style. This has not been a step before, but I would definitely make sure to do it. This is going to make sure your SD card is more reliable. So what I have here, I've opened up my disk management and I'm going down to my SD partition, my main SD partition. What you're going to want to do is hit on properties, go over to hardware, select SDXC card or whatever your SD card is, hit properties, go to volume, populate your volume with your SD drive, and check the partition style. If the partition style is master boot record, MBR, then you can keep going. If it's not, then you're going to need to reformat it to master boot record, which there are tools here to do that. I believe you can also do this inside of disk management. However, it will reformat your drive. So make sure if you, for example, if you're re-hacking your Wii and you're following this guide, make sure you back up your files first, then you reformat the partition, and then reformat it again down here, because step 2, if you've done any homebrewing, you're probably familiar with this, format the SD card to FAT32. I will leave a link to GUI format. GUI format has been the, I didn't link it here. I wonder if it's in here. Yeah, it is GUI formatter. It's telling you to use GUI format. So I will leave a link to GUI format. It is a very easy, just, plug and play, click and format, to reformat your SD card into FAT32. It's called I'll leave a link to it in the description. GUI format. It basically works it looks exactly like how reformatting any drive works in Windows. It just allows you to format a larger than 32 gig drive back into FAT32, which is what our SD card is now. So we have already done this. So now the next step is installing the Homebrew channel. So we don't have any of this. We're going to be under the assumption that you don't have any of this. And we are going to be following the guide as if this is our first time modding our Wii. And even if it isn't, doing a fresh install is totally fine, with even if you have any of these things installed already. If you go through this process and something is already installed, most likely what's going to happen is it's just going to either reinstall the same thing, or it's just going to tell you that it's already installed. So we're going to be launching an exploit next, and we're going to be using WeBrand. All right, so for this next step, we're going to be using the WeBrand because we have an SD card. So go ahead and take out your SD card, which has your files all installed on it, all loaded, and shut off your Wii. My Wii was on, so we're going to shut it off. And then we're going to put in our SD card. Couldn't get it in there for a second. Now we're going to turn it back on. And let's turn on our... There we go. Go ahead and turn that on. And we are going to be opening up the mail channel. We're going to be navigating to yesterday. And look at that. They have a little custom icon for it. And we are going to be selecting the... we're going to be selecting this guy. When I opened Letterbomb, my Wii was... The drive button, or the drive, was flashing blue. And it did not launch Hack Me. So I had to troubleshoot that a little bit. I just fully powered off the system, powered it on again, reopened the Letterbomb, and now we're in Hack Me. So it seems like if you, for some reason, freeze, or if your console starts flashing blue in the drive, then yeah, just go ahead and power it all the way off. Power it back on, open the Letterbomb again, and make sure that works. If it doesn't, I would go ahead and follow these follow some of these guides on, or follow some of these procedures on your generated ModMe wizard guide, because there could be a variety of different issues why this wouldn't show up. But hopefully, if that does happen, like me, you just need to turn it off, turn it back on again. Crazy how that is such a interesting way to fix things. Anyways, let's get back into the Wii. Let's go ahead and continue. All right, so we're basically going to be going through this. It's also like an installer wizard, and we're going to be installing BootMe, the Homebrew channel, and Preloader. Preloader is like basically a brick prevention software. So we're just going to go ahead and continue. First, we're going to be installing the Homebrew channel. Install the Homebrew channel. We're going to be doing that. And that is a success. And we're going to be installing the BootMe as an iOS. BootMe requires an SD card. We have an SD card, so let's go ahead. We're going to be doing that. Success. And return to the main menu. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. I was reading more of the ModMe wizard. So, in the BootMe menu, after you've installed BootMe as an iOS, you want to go back into the BootMe menu, and if there is an option, this is a newer revision of the original Wii, so unfortunately there is not an option, but if there is an option to install BootMe as a boot to, go ahead and do that. Go ahead and follow the same process, because this is another level of brick protection that is very good, so definitely do that if the option is available. But if not, that's okay. We can still install Preloader, which is going to allow you to recover most of the bricks. So we're going to return to the main menu. And from here, yep, we're going to exit. And now we're in the Homebrew channel. So now we're going to... All right, we're back. I am very stupid. I didn't realize that Launch BootMe is actually in the home menu of the Homebrew channel. So go ahead and hit the home button and then launch BootMe. So BootMe is something that can't be, it cannot be controlled with a Wiimote. You need to use the buttons on the actual physical Wii. So the power button is advanced to the next item, and the reset button is selecting the highlighted item. So we are going to press the power button 3 times to get to the settings menu. Then we're going to be going into our settings. We are going to be making a backup of our NAND. So what we're going to do is we're going to press reset again on this green icon where it's saying, where it's showing the the processor looking image, the green arrow to the SD card. We're going to go ahead and press that, and that is going to copy our NAND to our SD card. Ready to back up the NAND. Will be NAND.bin will be overwritten. So again, that's my old NAND. Don't need it anymore. We're going to go ahead and reset it. And you see this little cute, block animation thing, just like you do if you're familiar with a 3DS and that, block. I'll see you when that gets finished. All right, so I just want to cut back in here for a second. We're still not done yet, but if you have a few bad blocks, you can see one on the screen right there. If you have a few, I had more. I had like 4. That is no problem. Even if it's verifying right now, and it seems like it's cleaning up all the bad blocks. Yep, it just cleaned up that one too. So it seems like I'm, gonna be golden. But even if there are, the mod me setup wizard says it's totally fine. Totally fine if you have a few bad blocks. It's no issue. So, we're gonna get back to you when we finish because this process takes, like 10 to 12 minutes. All right, so we're back. We finally finished up. So once again, like I said before, even if you have a few bad blocks, that's totally fine. If you do have a few, I'd let it sit through the verification and see if it cleans them up, because I had like 3 or 4. The verification seemed to clean those up just fine. So now we can just hit any button to exit, and we are going to be scrolling over to the back button, and we're going to be going back into the, so we're going to scroll over with the power button, we'll be going back into the Homebrew channel, and we're back in the Homebrew channel. All right, so now we're going to be configuring preloader, which is very important. Don't want to miss this step. So we're going to be launching the preloader installer, which should be in here. Preloader installer, here we go. And we are going to press, we're going to press A. It seems like we can press A to install or update preloader. So we're just going to install it. I guess we do have to press plus. So we're going to press plus to install it. Preloader not found, so we're going to be installing it. And we're done. We installed it. So press A to exit. We're back in the Homebrew channel. So now I believe we're going to be loading preloader. Yes, we're going to be loading preloader. All right, so once preloader loads, we're going to be going to system menu hacks. Now, there are certain options you can choose here. So you're going to want to go into system menu hacks, and you don't necessarily need, I personally don't block online updates, but if you are really worried about an online update potentially breaking your system, even though like the Wii is so old now that I don't think this would ever happen, but if you're super nervous, you can enable this. You can enable auto press. If you like really don't like the health and safety screen, you can enable an auto press, or you can replace it with a black, just a black menu. Move disk channel. I'd like to enable this because the WiiM-Fi patch, I would go ahead and enable that. That's going to allow us to do some easier WiiM-Fi patching for getting online services. Sorry. We want to fix 480p graphics. We do want to do that. I would do this. Remove no copy save file protection. This is so you can copy save files easier. Region free, definitely enable this, because if you install a WAD or a certain game that has some sort of region locking, then I would definitely have this enabled. If you use USB Gecko, for example, for editing GameCube games, or GameCube memory cards, if you use SD Gecko or USB Gecko for that, things, if you might want an operating system report on those certain things, I'm going to enable these because I do actually use those. What else do we have here? For standard recovery mode, we're going to keep this disabled. Remove diagnostic disk check, I'm going to keep that enabled. And all of these other ones, these are disk, if you want disk games running under certain iOSs, I would not change this because we don't want to mess with stuff that involves iOSs. The only thing we want to mess with is CIOSs. Again, these are going to be enabled in very specific use cases, not in a general homebrewing tutorial. I believe that is everything. So we're going to save the settings. So you can set up an auto boot to USB loader. We're not going to do that. We're just going to show you, basic, easy things, or basic things for, getting to the tools that you need to get to in Homebrew. So we're going to navigate back to the Homebrew channel. We're going to launch it. All right. Installing WADs is the next step of our guide. So yet another ModMe edition. Yet another Manager ModMe edition. We are going to be selecting the SD card slot. And we have a bunch of stuff to collect, or a bunch of stuff to install. And I believe if I move my camera back up here, what you're going to do is you're basically going to mark all of these. Use the plus button, and you're going to want to mark every single one, because this is the folder that has been generated for us by ModMe. So there should be 49 of these in here. And we got to get through all of them to install them all properly. Here's our other channels. And now we are going to press A to install. 49 files. Yep, 49. Marked for installation. Do you want to proceed? Yes. And now we get to sit and wait. So I will see you back when these all install. All right, so we are back. Everything has installed successfully. 0 things have been failed. If something fails, I would suggest you go back and retry it again. I would hope that everything installs properly, because you have a lot of important CIOS files that you probably want all successfully installed. So now we can go ahead, hit any button to continue, and hit the home button to head back to the Homebrew menu. So now we're back in the Homebrew menu. And now we are pretty much done with modding the actual Wii itself. Now we want to talk about what software to use and how to set up the USB drive. I'm going to be showing my USB drive. So this program files that was in here, this has everything you need as far as computer software. This has GUI format, which I didn't even know was in there. So if you didn't know how to get GUI format, it's literally given to you by ModMe, which I didn't know. You have GameCube Backup Manager. You have NKit Manager, which helps you convert NKit ISOs to ISOs, because NKits are a compressed format that don't necessarily work good on official hardware. And you have Wii Backup Manager. I've talked about Wii Backup Manager before, but we'll talk about it again in this video. But let's just talk about the format. So the format, we've got 3 different apps on here. We've got Nintendo, CleanRip, and USB Loader GX. I guess because you could potentially store GameCube games on your USB drive, they want Nintendo in here. So, sure, we have Nintendo in here. We have our DOL, PNG, and our XML file in each of these apps. DOL, PNG, and our XML files. Yep. And in our games, so I have a lot of games already on here. So games, the games folder, this is for GameCube games. So in our games folder, what we want to see, all right, in our games folder, sorry about that, which is our GameCube games, what we want to see is the name of our game. So for example, the Bionicle game. And then we want to see brackets and the game ID. What does that mean? What is a game ID? If we go to Wii game IDs, there is a database, GameTDB. GameTDB has your game IDs for each of these games. Now, they are region specific. So if you download a file for a specific region, you need to make sure you find that region. So let's go to Bionicle. So this is the one we have, GVOE96. This is Bionicle. I believe this was a US release only. This one looks, or this simply just has a universal region, which can be the case. So Nope, this is a US region, but again, it can be played anywhere because now we have gotten rid of the regions on our Wii. So this is the region that we want, and this is the game ID, this number right here, this code right here. And then these are something that's going to be in your Wii that you can download using Wi-Fi. So, but if you need to manually install these for any reason, these cover arts or anything, then you can get them from this GameTDB website as well. So go ahead and get that. And make sure for all of your games, you have a folder that has the game name, space, bracket, game ID, bracket. Inside of that folder, you just want game.iso. You don't want it to be, for WBFS, it's different, but for GameCube games, just game.iso. And for every single one of these, you just want to have game.iso. And that's it. Saves. Saves is where your emulated memory card is going to be for your GameCube games. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but basically it is if you select in Nintendo or USB loader, I will show you how to do that in a minute. If you select to emulate a memory card, this is where your memory card file is going to go. This file can go into Dolphin to extract individual GCI files, which individual GCI files are your individual save files. Nope, I have a couple of them right here. They can go for save editing and for backups and stuff. So this is how you get individual GCI files. You need to put it into Dolphin. I have shown that in other videos I have on the channel. So if you need specifics on how to extract individual GCI files with your ninmem.raw file, I will link a video to that in the description as well. You need another folder called WBFS. WBFS is where you're going to store your Wii games. So Wii games are similar. They work the same way as far as the folder formatting. You're going to have your game name, space, bracket, game ID. But inside of the folder, you're going to have the WBFS file named the game ID. Can't be game.wbfs. It has to be the game ID.wbfs. Let's talk about Wii Backup Manager, because there are certain, where's my program files? There are certain Wii games that are larger than 4 gigabytes, which is the FAT32 limit. So let's look at one of these games, because I actually have one on here. Let's go into our WBFS and let's go to Xenoblade Chronicles. So this is what's going to come out of Wii Backup Manager when you partition this properly. So you're going to have a WBF1 and a WBFS file. Both are going to be named the game ID.wbfs. If you download a WBFS and it's over 4 gigabytes, I would name it the game ID before you put it into Wii Backup Manager. But hey, I have an ISO, I have an RVZ. How do I transfer this? Open up Dolphin. So go ahead, set your directory for where you're gonna find your Dolphin games so that your RVZ file appears here. Convert file. Right click on your game, convert file. We want so we need to convert this to an ISO. Because for whatever reason, Dolphin doesn't allow us to convert RVZ straight to WBFS, but it does allow us to convert it to an ISO. So now we have an ISO. What do we do with that? So now we go back into Wii Backup Manager. We go into the Files tab. We add a file. We select our ISO, and you don't even have to rename it. It'll rename it for you. So this is the great thing about Wii Backup Manager. You add it here. You go to drive 1, hit the drop down. You select your USB drive. Hey everybody, so I am voicing this over. The mic audio just got really terrible. So we're going to be, just talking through this. There will be a point in the video where I cut back to my voice, new microphone, and I was sitting too far away. So you just get to listen to me yap a bunch, or I guess watch me yap. Anyways, what I'm talking about right here is Wii Backup Manager, and that it is very simple to transfer over to a WBFS file on your USB drive. And it's also very convenient that ModMe has all of the software that you need to transfer and manage games, GameCube games, Wii games, all of that stuff. All right, so I'm back in Wii Backup Manager, and I have Mario Kart Wii selected, and we have the drive selected in that Drive 1 tab, as you can see over there. I'm still yapping about something. All right, so now we're talking about WiiLink, and so we have WiiLink to get through and WiiMFi to get through. WiiLink is basically your Reconnect 24 services, and that, is like news, the weather forecast channel, the food channel, Nintendo Room, stuff like that. WiiMFi is for games, and right there you saw me take out my USB drive, and I'm going to put it in the Wii. It's important to put it in the port that I'm going to tell you, which is the port closest to the edge of the Wii. You need to put it in this port, or else USB loader could mess up, because USB loaders, well, it couldn't mess up, but it won't read it, because USB loader's default port is 0, and that port is the port closest to the edge of the Wii, excuse me. All right, so now we're going to turn on the Wii, and we're going to enter USB loader, and this little forwarder does actually load into USB loader just fine. It just has a little bit of a different, look. I load into it through the Homebrew channel, but later in the video, I'll load into it using that forwarder. So now we're going to open USB loader GX, just so that I can display all of the games, GameCube games, and whatever else is on here, just so I can show you that the format is correct. And then I'll go through a few settings for, GameCube stuff, video stuff that you need in order to load games properly. So here you can see pretty much every game that I have. I have a bunch of different games on my USB drive and SD card. You can put GameCube games on your SD card, not Wii games, but we have most of them, even my GameCube games, are on my USB drive. So now we go into loader settings, and this is, there's different video options in here. I don't think I go through too many of them. I think I go through, I may go through Nintendo settings. There, you just saw it quickly. I'll talk about it later as memory card emulation. But for hard drive settings, so this is where I mentioned the USB port 0. So there you can see in hard drive settings, it's USB port 0, and the game install partition is FAT32. So if your USB drive is not showing up, it could be because the port is set to 1. So set that to 0, and you should be able to see your USB drive. And then, we have the FAT32 options like splitting 4 gig files and, the game name, game ID. So this is another thing, this button up here with the 2 little boxes, this shows what sources are shown in USB loader. So you want, you can have everything selected. I like having NAND channels and EmuNAND channels deselected because I like USB loader just for my games that are on my drive. So I usually only have Wii and GameCube games selected. Because even emulated NAND channels do actually show up on your home menu. They will show up on your home menu if you download like WADs through like a WAD manager, like yet another WAD manager, ModMe edition. So what I'm talking about here is the artwork. So you can set up your USB loader to display the games in many different fashions. So this artwork, if you click on the list button, which I will get to in the video eventually, but if you need this artwork, because you do need to download it from GameTDB, the game ID database, you will need to you can download it directly from USB Loader GX. And so you'll need to hit that list button with the up and down arrows and the, extended hamburger. And then you'll be able to click on the left side. So where all those game arts are showing, if you scroll to one that you don't have the artwork of, it'll show like a question mark, and then you can click that and download all of the missing artwork that you don't have from the Game TDB website, so long as your console is connected to the internet properly. So make sure that is happening and you'll be able to download the artwork, no issues. Okay, so here I made a mistake with my recording. So there was going to be a big cut because I accidentally deinstalled the CIOS. So ModMe automatically installs the CIOS. It was part of the wizard that it installed the CIOS. So I uninstalled it, but now scrolling over those blocks in D2X CIOS installer, wow, that's a wordful. You can see that I'm scrolling over those highlighted yellow blocks, and those you can see the installed CIOS bar under the grid. You can see it has those revisions of the CIOS installed in those blocks, and they were all successful. So I uninstalled them, reinstalled them. But if you are not sure if you have it, go into D2X CIOS installer and just make sure you have those. ModMe should automatically install them. But this is just me checking for, because I didn't know that ModMe automatically installed them. I skipped over that. And so this is just me reinstalling them and showing everybody that you don't need to do this. But it is good practice to simply check to make sure that those CIOS are the correct version and in the correct places. All right, so this is just a short little snippet I have showing that I did indeed load into the game okay. And we're going to go ahead and cut out to the next step of the process, which is going to be starting WeLink. All right, so here we are at the installation guide page. We're going to be selecting Wii since we're installing it on a Wii. And we are going to be downloading the WeLink patcher. So go ahead and get yourself the Windows GUI x64 zip. And then you're going to want to make a folder called WeLink patcher, so you can dump everything inside of the zip folder you just downloaded into that folder to keep it all together, because there is a lot of those DLL files and all of that good stuff that is jumbled in there. So go ahead and open that up, and then open up your WeLink patcher GUI software. So this is basically another install wizard, just like ModMe, which I like. They streamline this process for all of the Wii, custom firmware installations. They streamline this process very well, very easily for the end user. So I remember previously when I was making my last guide, a lot of this stuff you just sort of had to pick up, and you had to have a lot of download links and a lot of resources to put this all together. But now a lot of this stuff has been streamlined, so the installation is much easier. And this is just saying that I'm going to do the express setup. I don't need any of the extra channels right now, so I'm going to be doing the basics for what a custom firmware video requires. So I won't be going over like the food channel. Like I'll download the food channel, but I won't be setting it up. I won't be synchronizing the time for the forecast channel. And later in the video, you'll see I seem to have a issue with the news channel, so I needed to uninstall and reinstall that, and that is something that I will be doing off camera. I do prove that the WeConnect 24 services are back online with the Nintendo channel app. I just, I wanted to get done with the video, so I didn't worry about continuing to troubleshoot something when the video is already this long. So here what I'm talking about is the Domino's app for the food app. The food app, this is US and Canada only. If you want to make the food app be able to order Domino's pizza, I'm going to select that, but I'm not going to be setting it up. So if you're wondering about that, I could make another video, but I'm not particularly interested in making one just about the food channel. And then I just select we on that next page. All right, so this page is saying, would you automatically like to copy the patched files to your SD card? So I hit yes here, and I do select my drive. However, I did not actually copy automatically to my SD card. It just copied to my downloads folder, but that is okay. You can just copy it from your downloads folder into your USB drive and SD card. So that wasn't really an issue that I was too worried about. But here I'm struggling with my SD card. All right, so now we're going to hit yes, and then I had to unclick this option to show the SD card drive. And so there's my SD card drive. And yep, there's my SD is F, and I am sending it to the F drive. And then I hit next. And this was important. So I had a folder called WAD in all caps. And so I needed to delete that directory. This was from the previous steps of the process. So I needed to delete that just so the, yet another WAD manager was able to, read things correctly. Even though I don't think it's a big issue, and I think you can install WADs from anywhere on the SD card, if the wizard recommends it, I would just do it. I would not, I would not take any risks like that. And now the patching is complete, and now we can move over to the Wii. But first, right, because these apps did not get transferred to my SD card, I need to simply move these two files over to the root of the SD card. So I've pasted these in. These have all of our WADs that we need in order to get WeLink up and running, the WeLink services up and running. Now we can shut everything off and take out our SD card and head back to the Wii. All right, we are back at the Wii. So now what we need to do is we just need to go back into yet another WAD manager, and we need to install all those WADs. It's the same method as, as we've done previously with the WADs that we the WADs we installed during the ModMe process. It's the same idea. And this time, I believe I do understand that you can simply hold the plus button on your Wii remote. You can simply hold it in order to install all the files in a directory. So select WeSD, and then go ahead and scroll down and hold plus to select everything in the directory, which I believe I do here. You simply hold it for about 4 seconds, and yep, there we go. Everything is now selected. So now we can hit A to install all of it and proceed with the installation. And I'll get back to you when this finishes. Okay, so once everything is installed, now we can exit with the home menu. It's going to take us back to the Homebrew menu. And now we need to go to the WeLink Mail Patcher. Okay, so now WeLink has been successfully set up. So now we can go ahead and we can now use the WeLink mail service, and we can go ahead and hit the home button to exit. All right, so one last thing. So what WeLink does is it basically allows for WeConnect 24 services. So for example, we're going to go to the system menu, and we're going to show you that the news channel works. There are a couple things that are not going to work right out of the box. Number one is the food channel, and number two is the forecast channel. There are a couple things, and the photo prints channel as well, that may not work. Here, I'm going to turn down the volume on this because it's a little too loud. Okay. So there's a couple things that aren't going to work right out of the box. Forecast channel and the, I believe the photo prints channel as well. It might not work properly. So we're just going to start the news channel just to show you that the service works. And if it doesn't, then we will change the DNS settings because I believe that will fix that issue. Okay, so if you get this error, that's totally okay. So what we need to do is we need to change the DNS settings. We're going to go into our Wii settings. We are going to go to our internet settings. We're going to go to our connection settings. We're going to go to the connection settings we're connected to right now. We're going to go to change settings. We're going to scroll over to auto obtain DNS. And we're going to hit no. And we're going to go to advanced settings. For our primary DNS, we're going to set it to not 4. Nope. We're going to set it to 167.235.229.36. And our secondary DNS, we're going to just set to 1.1.1.1.1. Alrighty. We're going to confirm, we're going to save, and we're going to do a connection test. Alright, so once the connection test is finally done, perform a system update, we're just going to hit no. And then what we need to do after that is we need to go to the first page of the, we need to go back. We need to go to the first page, which we are in, and we need to go to user agreements. Say yes to this. Okay, so when this finally loads, and you may need to try it multiple times, I had to try it multiple times, we can read the WeLink end user license agreement. I recommend reading it. It has some important things you might want to, read over if there's any, deliberations you need to do out, or, data services you need to, read over. But I have already read this. I've already done this in, I've already done this before with my previous Wiis. So, just going to accept it. And now once we've done that, now we can go back into the settings. The console allows me to. We can go back into the settings. We can go to WeConnect24. Standby connection, and we want that on. So confirm that. Okay guys, so after a minute, the news channel would not work. I'm assuming it's because the news channel did not reinstall. So if that happens, you'll need to delete it and reinstall it. However, I'm here on the Nintendo channel, WeLink app, and you can see that, yep, we are getting updates from the Nintendo. We can see Nintendo Switch 2 announcements coming in. So we are still getting Nintendo announcements on the Nintendo channel. So there is your WeLink all set up, all ready to go. So now we can... So now we're done with WeLink. There are a couple other things that are gonna need further setup. For example, like I said before, the news channel. If it's not working, you'll need to uninstall it and reinstall it. The forecast channel, you need to time sync. There is an application on Homebrew to do that. The food channel, you need to set up like an address and everything. And the photo prints channel, you need to do some other setup. But I'm not going to be showing you how to do that in this video because this is already getting to be a very long video and we still have to go over WeMFi. But for right now, that is your WeLink services setup. So let's begin WeMFi. So what is WeMFi? WeMFi is the Nintendo Wi-Fi connection. So that's different from Reconnect24. This is online services for games specifically. So what I'm going to be doing is showing you the patcher and how to set up I'm going to just be showing you how to set up Mario Kart World. I can make a separate video for the WAD patcher, but for right now, I'm going to use it. I'm just going to be using the patcher for general use cases. So that would be your Mario Kart Wii, which I'm assuming most people are going to or if the people are going to be using Wii online services, they're going to want to do that. So we're going to be using the USB loader section. USB loaders allows you to boot games, and you can either manually patch your game images with the ISO, or you can use the WMFi patches that's built into the USB loader. We need to do both. We need to patch the ISO, and we need to set up the USB loader WMFi patch. So go ahead and download the ISO patcher. So WBFS is supported. So download the WMFi ISO patcher. WADs are not supported in the ISO patcher. WADs need a separate patcher. So for WiiWare games, you do need a separate patcher. It is in here, but for today, we're just going to be showing you the ISO/WBFS patcher. Okay, guys, so we are going to be patching our WAD files. So this is a DNS server. We do not need this running because you would only need this server running if you're, let's say, like you're at a campus or something, or you're on college and your Wi-Fi has like a DNS shield that does not allow custom DNS settings to come through. You would need to run the DNS server. But for here, we just need to run the batch file. Okay, guys, we're back. Sorry about that. So what you need to do is you need to take your WBFS from your USB loader, and you need to just drag and drop it into the root of the folder of the WMFi patcher. And I'm going to cut again when this finishes. Alrighty. So after you've done that, after you have your WBFS copied into your WMFi patcher, make sure your WMFi images folder is empty. And then we're just going to run patchimages.bat. We're going to run it. And there we go. We see here we go. This game.wbfs, one object scan, one supported file found, and we are patching. So now it's going to be creating, so it's patching the main DOL, and it is creating a new image for us. Alrighty, and it looks like it is finished. So now we can go into our WMFi images, this folder, and now we have a new image. It is the patched WBFS file, so now we can go ahead, delete this, and now we can drag our new one onto the USB drive. And this is going to allow us to run Mario Kart Wii from USB loader using WMFi. All right, guys, so I cut a little bit. The thing is still copying to the USB drive, but over here on USB loader for WMFi, it says that you only need to do this, that you only need to have make that your USB loader option is set to WMFi and the private server option, which I will show you how to do. However, I have done this before, and it has not functioned with an unpatched WBFS file. This is why I recommend patching your WBFS file first. Always patch your WBFS file for WMFi, and do both. Do set the private server to WMFi and patch your WBFS with WMFi. This is going to make sure that you can play online with a WBFS file through USB loader. Okay, guys, we're back. So the WBFS file, the new patched WBFS file, is now complete. It is copied into the USB loader, or the USB drive. So let's give it a whirl. So go ahead, we're going to take this out. We're going to plug it into the Wii. If I can grab it. Plug it into that same port that you did before. Make sure it's the correct port. All right, let's head into USB loader. So here we are in USB loader. And go into the settings of Mario Kart. We're going to be going into, I believe it is game load. I'm going to be going into game load, and it might be up here at the top. Game language, private server. Here we go. Private server. We're going to change this to Weamify. There it is. Go ahead, save. And now we're going to start. So, let me move my, yep. So up there at the top, now you can see it says select license, Weamify. So that confirms that the WAD has been patched. So we're just going to hit a new license. We're going to hit OK. I have no idea who any of these people are. This is, again, this is a Wii that, we'll choose Chong. Chong seems chill. And we'll create a new license for him. And with enough luck, Weamify. So it doesn't say online play, it says Weamify. So it's giving you a notice for you know, the data that's going to be shared when you're using Weamify. And we'll permit the data to be sent to the Weamify server. Because it's not like any of my personal information is stored on this console. This is a fresh console. So, it's going to connect to Weamify, and this should allow us. So this has been the full guide to setting up Weamify, setting up WeLink, setting up custom firmware on your Wii, setting up USB loader. So the last thing I'm going to show you, we can't exit out right now. I think we'll be able to exit out once the game starts. The last thing I'm going to show you is Nintendo. So Nintendo should have been included in ModMe. I believe I did select Nintendo to be included in ModMe. But if it isn't, then I will leave a link to it in the description. So Nintendo is a GameCube loader. Now, you can load stuff directly from Nintendo. However, you can also load GameCube games from USB Loader GX, as I said earlier in the video. So we're going to go into USB Loader. And we're going to load up a game. We're going to show you what settings I have for memory cards to give you the exact emulated memory card that I have. And then we're going to show you the game load for GameCube games. So let's just click on any GameCube game. So we're going to go to settings. We're going to go to game load. I set it back to use global because I believe my game load settings for loader settings for GameCube I should have. Yep. GameCube mode is Nintendo. So that should be that. Oh, and then one other thing for GameCube, if we go back into GameCube settings, we need to look at memory card emulation. So for memory card emulation, we want to do on multi. And the highest block size that is not like experimental is 251. So just go ahead and hit on multi and then select your memory card size to 251. And it'll create multiple if you go over, so it's no big deal. And then this will create that ninmem.raw file inside of that saves folder in the USB drive. USB HID controller, turn this on if you want. If you have a Wii Family Edition that does not have GameCube ports and you need to use an adapter, a Wii U to GameCube adapter. Those do work. Turn that on, it'll work. And that is pretty much everything. So I'll boot up Bionicle just to show you that it works. There are a couple video settings that you can mess around with in the loader settings. I didn't change those at all, so this is probably a little stretched out. But you can change those you can change a Force 480p. I usually select Force 480p, and then you can select to force the aspect ratio into 4:3. This game, I believe it loaded in 4:3. I believe that is 4:3, but if it isn't, you can obviously change that setting. And I believe it is not forced to 480p, so it looks really like bad now. But there is an option to force it to 480p. So, because this game is not naturally 480p, you do have to force it to be 480p. But that about does it for hacking your Wii, getting WiiMfi up and running, getting WiiLink up and running. Again, I'm not going to go into the sort of individual apps like the Forecast app or the Food Channel app. If you have questions about stuff that's related to the video, please leave them in the comments. I'll try to answer everyone as best as I can, and hopefully we can make more guides like this. This has been a very long guide, but hopefully it covers every step of the process and everything you need to know about completely setting up your Wii and Wii online services so that you are ready to go in 2025 and hopefully 2026 for playing on your Wii with custom firmware. All right. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up. Please subscribe. It has been a while since I've said something like that. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you. What the hell is all this stuff?